Okay. So the whole purpose of Cucumber is because what? It's readable. It gives you an extra layer of reusability, and it allows you to write your test in plain English. But that comes with some, newer problems, which is Playwright has some features that we're not able to use. So if you remember, when we debug our tests, when we run our tests, we have UI. We can also run tests very differently. When we write our test in only Playwright with page object, was pretty, easy to deal with. And when you added the BDD Cucumber, now you have commands that you have to use, Cucumber commands, right? And not that Cucumber and BDD don't have their own debugging and own runners. They do. But again, Playwright does it a little bit better than what Cucumber does at this moment because of the new updates that they have made. So if you join a company, you're probably going to see moving forward, people are avoiding using Cucumber because they just want to take advantage of the features that Playwright has, the UI and the debugging, the recording, all of that, right? But also you're going to see companies that have been using, let's say, Selenium with Cucumber, they want the similar flavors. They don't want just code, right? They don't want to just see code, only code. And then you're going to see Cucumber. The good thing is that we covered Cucumber, we covered Playwright, and we covered Page Object, right? All three are pretty much essential at this moment for you to get a job on the automation side. Your target is going to be moving forward is going to be looking for a job in Playwright, but you're going to say you have been using Selenium, but you're not going to be jumping right into Playwright on the day one, right? So you had to be using Selenium prior to this, maybe 4 or 5 years of usage in Selenium with Java and other languages. Now any automation tool, like if I was to give you some confidence, is that any automation tool have very similar way to automate. There's nothing different about automation tool. The only thing is that maybe the naming conventions are different compared to the tools. So let's look at some of the Selenium commands. So that way we kind of get ourselves a little bit of confidence to say, yes, I also can automate using Selenium, but I am using Playwright currently, right? So Selenium, let's say, remember how do we, fill out maybe, okay, Selenium with Java. So I'm going to say Selenium JavaScript, enter a value, for example, into a input box, right? So let's see where it takes me. It takes me somewhere here, like Stack Overflow. Some of the answers that these guys have is outdated. Sometimes it's updated. It depends who posted it, but I'm gonna look anyway. So as you can see with JavaScript, for you to enter information, first you locate the element, just like that. Now you have a driver, you create a driver, and then you're able to use .send keys and enter your information. So no matter which tool you use, it's gonna be always locating the element, and then you're doing certain actions. The action could be entering information, it could be clicking, it could be hovering, it could be checking, it could be grabbing. It's text for validation purposes. These are the only things that you will be doing, and any automation tool will have the similar way to handle these actions. So you should feel confident if you have Selenium on your resume, or Playwright or Cypress, whatever is the automation tool. So the fundamentals is always going to be same. If you learn Playwright today and you ended up getting a job in Cypress, you just have to give yourself like a month, right, before you're able to start to automate. But the most important thing that you need to do is use reverse engineering without panicking. You have to see how the test was written initially. You have to see their existing test. And when you see existing tests, you also can probably see their structure and how they are putting different type of objects in different locations of the framework. And you have to follow that norm, or you have to follow that convention, so that way you can automate with their coding standard, but at the same time, you're able to at least write test cases. Okay. So pretty much, again, if you can freestyle and write test automation using Playwright, then you should be able to do it with any tool that are out there, as long as you know how to do some research, right? So for now, you're using playwright.dev to do your research, to do actions within elements, but you may end up using another website, which is, Selenium. So let me see what Selenium has, for example. And I'm not saying Selenium is going to be something that you'll be working with. It could be, right, where you end up getting a job in Selenium, or maybe they have Selenium framework already present, right? So selenium.dev, by the way. So yeah, maybe they already have Selenium, but they want to move into Selenium, maybe Playwright, right? So you still have to read their code. You still have to understand what the Selenium test cases looks like, so that way you can make that transition. So notice Selenium WebDriver is right here, and then you have Selenium IDE. This Selenium IDE allows you to record a test. Okay, so as you can see, this is the recorder. You click on it, and I don't know, did we cover this? I think we covered Selenium, right? A little
Not
bit.
recorded test?
Okay.
Not really. I don't think
Okay.
so.
So
No.
when you click on your extension, they have extension for Edge, Chrome, and they have extension for Firefox, and it will show up something like this. Hey, okay, I'm a Selenium IDE, I'm version this. You want to record a new test? So you click on record, give it a project name, maybe learning, and then you enter maybe like HTTPS, whatever, insurance demo, start recording, and it will open up. Now, whatever you do, it records, auto insurance, for example, enter some information, and go ahead and finish recording. If you go back to this, you can go ahead and click stop and give it a name, maybe like demo test, right? So it recorded everything that it needs to run your test. So now what you can do, you can say, look, I don't care about this. I want to just go ahead and export this test. And you can export it to Java, C#, and whatever, JavaScript, So for example, JavaScript, click export, and it will download the test for you. See JS file, spec.js file, it will download it for you automatically. And now you have a test ready to go, right? So it still gives you the ability to, you know, uh, write a test without having to write a lot of code, right? So most of the tools that are out there for automation will give you some sort of toolings to make sure that you're able to create test cases without having to do a lot of work. So again, what I'm saying for you guys to keep in mind is that you should never be, saying no. If a recruiter calls you and says, "Hey, we're looking for automation expert, and this is for Selenium automation," and you're not gonna say, "No, I'm only looking for Playwright." No, you're gonna say, "Sure, I used Selenium before, so it's not a problem," right? And you go from there. You set up the interview, and then we go through the process. Maybe you'll mess up some interviews, but it's okay. You will eventually learn how to ace the interview. So just to give you guys a quick idea about Selenium, I just showed you how quickly I was able to write a test case, right? This didn't even require any installation, because Selenium has been here out there for for forever. I mean, 15, 20 years, I believe. And within these years, they made a lot of changes, right? Which actually made this tool as strong as Playwright. The only drawback is Playwright kind of is fast, right? Because it was created with Node.js, and it has a lot more capabilities than Selenium. But both tools are equally being used. The demand is there for both tools, right? Most of the companies you'll see right now making the transition from Selenium to Playwright. So for you to get a job making changes from Selenium to Playwright, you have to understand a little bit about Selenium, and you have to have Selenium in your background, right? And then you would be able to target that kind of jobs. How many people are still confused about Cucumber? Before we move on, because I was going to cover Cucumber more extensively, but I feel like, you know, we probably gonna go light brushes on the Cucumber because the amount of people did the homework, and also I can see that some of the feature that we're missing just by using Cucumber, which is fine. Again, if somebody wants to use Cucumber with Playwright, that's totally fine also. So you should be able to at least use this framework if you happen to get a job and they want you to create a framework. You can actually just take this, maybe zip it, download the code, change everything a little bit, and you should be fine. Now, this is actually marked as a boilerplate. And the reason why this is marked as a boilerplate is because the person who, you know, wrote this code and did the setup for you, he wants people to not start from scratch, right? He wants people to at least save some time because he did some work, already did the work, he already pushed it, so why not people can use this, you know? The other thing is that it's not like we cannot do all of this from scratch ourselves, right? Everything that you see here, we can do it from scratch. So it's not copying actually when you do it like this, because everything that he wrote, the source code, we can also do it ourselves. The only reason we go ahead and look for boilerplates is because we want to save time. You don't want to reinvent wheels as long as people are willing to share their piece of code that they write, right? So this guy is sharing and we're taking it from there. So that's how you'll be doing it. Even at work, if you need something and you end up getting a boilerplate, it's okay to tell them you're using a boilerplate which has significant portion of work done, and now you're just making sure it works with your application. Okay, so you're making changes to that boilerplate, and that is perfectly fine. Anybody has any question regarding like Cucumber or anything like that? You guys fine with Cucumber?
What is the difference between Cucumber and Selenium?
So Cucumber, okay, so think about it. Cucumber works with Selenium and Playwright. So they cannot be same, right? So that means Selenium and Cucumber cannot be same. They have two different purposes. Selenium is just like Playwright. It manipulates browsers. It basically tells browsers what to do. Cucumber allows you to follow a specific framework to write tests. So Cucumber allows you to write your test in plain English, and then you can relocate your code to step definition files where the code is separate from the test itself, but still the test runs when you write your plain English. Okay, so that gives you an additional capability if you join a team where they care a lot about, you know, business side, not knowing about their test, if they feel confidence or not. So they will probably choose to use Cucumber because now the tests are in plain English. Okay. I did mention to you guys that we're going to start looking into interviews and stuff. We're going to start looking for interview reviews. So I'm going to spend a lot more time on the, you know, preparing you guys for the interview. I'm going to start looking into the resumes. So if you already have a resume and you need a review, you can send it over. If you don't have a resume, you can send your regular resume so we can still look into it and see how we can add this stuff. And then we're gonna have to start marketing. And again, for people that are brand new to this, we're gonna have to market, but then you'll probably get some one-on-one time, like a couple hours 2 to 3 hours before your resume goes out there. I think most of you guys are familiar with this, where once the resume is, reviewed by me, you would be able to apply anywhere you want. Okay, so there is not going to be any restrictions on applications. The only thing I care about is you bringing the interview. If you are able to set up the interview, then we have the chance of getting a job, right? If you're not able to set up an interview and you look at me, then you have to first see why you're not getting interviews. Maybe you didn't apply enough. Maybe you didn't reply to people's messages. Maybe you didn't reply right away to your emails. Maybe you didn't reply to your phone calls that they made. So those you have to ask yourself if you're doing those. At least 1 or 2 interview per month, at least bare minimum, I think. I mean, there was a time where we would get 2 interviews per day per person. That's how, the job market was. But right now the job market is pretty dry. So interview is not going to be as much, but at least you will have plenty of phone calls from recruiters where you'll get some practice done, on communicating about your experience. Okay, so let's go ahead. I just want to give you guys more knowledge on the cucumber. But if you guys have any question, if you guys have anything else to go over, we can definitely talk about those as well. So, who can tell me what a cucumber feature file looks like? What do you need to have in a feature file for it to make it work?
You need the step definition.
That's not, I'm talking about a feature file, just a feature file. So you create .feature file, right? What should be inside of it?
A scenario.
What else before that? You can
Feature.
just
The feature name.
Yep.
So the first thing the file should have is a feature, which is a keyword, right?
Yep.
And then just like
Scenario.
that, and then what do we write here?
First it will be the name of the feature, then you'll be writing, what would you write in the story card? As a user, I want to test all the basic scenario, product lifecycle, basically.
So example could be like this, example.
As a
login,
user,
right?
Yep. Oh, okay.
User, I want to be able to, let's say, log into the application. So now, if that is the case, that means login, it's the entire feature of the login. That means there is going to be more than one scenario, correct? So what's next on this feature file?
Will be the scenario, the first scenario.
Okay. Scenario. So that's another keyword. What is the first line on scenario goes?
Successful login with the, or login with this.
Just
Yeah.
It's okay. Verify if user and login using valid, credentials. Okay, and then what else? What is the next sort of keywords that we can use to write the next line?
Given.
Okay, so given is the first keyword here.
Yeah, I do have a question. I was not able to use end.
It's because you're not probably importing. You have to import. Did you try importing?
I did.
Okay, so let's look into it. So given I'm on the login page, for example, right? And then when I enter something, right? Username and this, and I click on login button, then I should be able to log in, and move to home page, for example, right? So now what if, let's say these keywords matters, right? The first word of your, of your lines that you're writing in BDD, which is cucumber. And so now this is the whole thing that I'm writing. What kind of syntax this is? What do we call this?
Gherkin.
Gherkin, right? This is the Gherkin syntax you're using.
Yeah.
People say jargon, Gherkin, whatever. I mean, I call it Gherkin. So this is Gherkin syntax that you're using for BDD implementation, right? Behavior-driven language. So you're saying, you're actually describing the behavior of the feature. One of the behavior is that the user should be able to log in when they enter valid credentials. And the next behavior should be like what? The user should not be able to log in if they don't enter valid credentials, for example. So that's how the application behaves. I think we covered also scenario outline. Oh. Scenario outline, you have like, let's verify multiple, whatever, data types, for example, data sets. And given I am on, login page, when I enter something like this, word, okay. Then so now then there is something called examples. You guys remember what this is? Who remember this structure? Or we didn't cover this yet?
Oh, we did. I don't remember covering this, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think we didn't cover.
I don't think we
Okay.
did we cover scenario outline? I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine. This is one of the highly asked questions in interview. Okay, so let's say we want to try, just for the good measure, we want to try 4 to 5 user type. Maybe there's different user type, right? One is a admin user, then we have a regular user, and then maybe there is analyst user, whatever is the case, right? So John 1, John 2, and John 3. So what scenario outline does is that, as you can see, the header, the first header, it takes the data from each row, and the way that we create the table is by using pipes. So you can see, so this is the first column, this is the second column, and each column has their a row, and this row is going to be almost like a loop, right? It's basically when the test runs, it will first run with this column, then it will run with the second, and then it will run with the third, okay? And it already knows that the very first one is the header. So the headers are here, basically, so it knows exactly where to grab this information from. So now Cucumber Scenario Outline allows you to parameterize your test case. You're able to run test cases. Let me just open up the, this is the, okay, so you're able to, so we did this already. So you're able to now write scenario outlines. If I write it here, as you can see, scenario outlines is an option right here. So, and then given, let's say I am on the login screen, when I fill out whatever, so when I, valid or invalid depending on that, but let's say when I fill out invalid information, then I should see something, right? So let's say every time you pass on a different value, it will give you different information. So then you should see an error. Now these could be like a parameter. It could be like, okay, error message. We don't know what that message is gonna be. So now I can go ahead and put that into an examples table. Okay, and give me a sample right here, you see? So the header is gonna be error message. So the error message could be different based on scenarios. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in here. And I'm gonna go ahead and put like the first one, maybe the error message. Let me just also update this. Login from with credentials. Let's say the first one is gonna be username and password, right? And it will take this information. It'll take this information and use it. So let's do username. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so then you have your error message, username, and password. So when you run your test, what this is going to do every time is that it will run with whatever value you're providing. So like each test is gonna be a new row. So let me just go in there. Let me just put in PMR. Let me format this, and then we're gonna probably make this test work. So just 1 second before I explain this. So in here, when you say scenario outline, you're saying, oh, okay, I may have data that I would like to use during the test. And this data is gonna come from here. This is the table that I created. In this table, I have a header, and then I have a row, and each row representing a test case. Okay, so if I want to grab error message, value 1, I just use the word error message inside, just like this, more less than, more than. And the same thing for username and password, right? So let's say every time I want to log in, I want to log in using new user information. So let's go ahead and make this change to this guy. I'm gonna go ahead and find the definition first. So this is the method that is responsible for entering information. This one. So I'm gonna go ahead and update this. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and make it more reusable. So it takes parameters. So we see user credentials, login. Okay, submit login, and then I'm gonna go ahead and say user name in here. So, and temporary value basically, and then password. Okay, so this method will be expected to used by giving username and password. So as you can see, locator is fine, and we have hard-coded values for user and password. So I'm gonna go ahead and now copy this, and I'm gonna paste it right here for the user. Okay, and then for the password, I'm gonna do the same thing. Do you guys see anything that I did wrong so far? It's all good?
The parentheses.
Okay. There we go. So now this username is gonna be able to accept parameters, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and now go to my step definition. I'm gonna make that into taking information just like this, right? So I'm gonna go back in here, go to definition. I just need to create a new one, and then paste it down under and see valid credentials. So I'm gonna say, I fill the login form with, instead of saying valid credentials, I'm gonna say whatever credentials that I'm getting, right? So I'm gonna say maybe with string, this is my first one, and then and this is gonna be the password. So I'm gonna say string, okay? So this will also expect, right? So the first one that I'm collecting is gonna be username. The second one should be a password, right? And then this is the method that I don't want to use. I want to use the one that I just created, submit login, and then let's see what it takes. As you can see, it takes username and password if you hover over. So I'm gonna have to enter this information there. And then I'm going to enter the password. Okay, and then that's it, done. Okay, so now this step now is going to be working for us, right? It will work. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this guy, and then let's see, we're going to probably use it with a bunch of fake username and passwords. So that way, at least we can see what happens when I try to log in. Okay, so when I enter blah, 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 so when I enter this user, okay, so now you'll see how this works. User, and then this is the password. So somebody tell me here, if you know that this test is going to run 1, 2, 3, 4, it'll run 4 times. What is the value of username when it runs on, when it finishes when it actually goes for the second round, it's running the second time with different data. So what is going to be the value for username? And I probably should update the table. Okay. Anybody here can answer this?
I say
First of all, how many times? Go ahead.
it will run 4 times. The first one is value 1, value 2, value 3, value 4. No.
Okay, so 4 times it should run, you're saying, and first time that it'll run, what will happen?
It will run the first line number 26. There's the arrow value 1, username, and it will enter the username and password and validate that that specific arrows is being displayed.
Okay, so let's see at pass 1, 2, 3, whatever, 4. I'm just giving some random name. Copy this, go back to our package. You guys remember how to run this? So in this case, what does it do? This basically runs everything. So I'm gonna make this thing not run everything, but run only what I want to run. Okay, so all I have to do is maybe take this, copy this, and then make a new one, so I don't have to.
So you can run it. You can press play like we did in Playwright.
No.
Okay.
That's the thing. You're gonna have to set up Cucumber properly to do that, but again, still gonna have issues. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. So this one, let's see where exactly we make the change. Node module is not a problem. This is not a problem. This is also a step definition, not a problem. And then we're saying all the feature inside of the feature is this. That should be running. Okay, so what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to change this one. I'm gonna go ahead and say -- tags, okay, and the tag should be at the test 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe, right? Well, that's what we have. Go ahead and run that. If it's 1, 2, 3, 4, before all, boom. Okay, so as you can see, value 3, value 4, and done. Why did all 4 tests fail?
Because they're not the correct data. That's why, and none of them are the correct data.
Correct, because you see the value of this is it's entering the username and password, not a problem. It's entering it, right? I mean, let's run it one more time so you guys can see. What's the name of this? Okay, all right, cross environment this, okay, that's fine. So let's go back in here. I'll just save myself some time. Run it. As you can see, it goes in there. You can see it's entering value 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So just think about it, the amount of use cases that you have in your mind, right? When you have tests, you'll have a lot of tests that uses the same exact flow, the steps, but then different data. Okay. So now in this case, remember we have a valid credentials too. Okay. So let's go ahead and update this test. If it's invalid credentials, then we should see this, correct? This message. So I'm combining these two tests into one, okay? If you're wondering. So this is the message that we should be seeing if it's invalid. So the first one is already invalid. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna say invalid user, okay? And I'm gonna put some, what is invalid username, right? Something that doesn't even exist, okay? So 1, 2, 3, that's the password for that, okay? What happens if it's valid? So let's go ahead and I just want to know the password and username. So let's go to this. So this is the username and password. So I'm gonna copy this for a second because I need this information over there. Okay, so then the next one is gonna be this.
I don't think that's the password and username.
No?
No, it's the other one, the one
This
on
is
top of it.
valid credentials, this one, right?
Um,
Yeah, I think I grabbed it from valid credential, but let's see. Okay. Yeah, this is the one. This is the valid credentials, right?
I'm pretty sure it's the one on the line 21, 22. Standard secret sauce. That's the
Oh, okay,
password.
I see, okay. The standard user with secret sauce, okay.
Those are the
So
password.
let's take that. Yeah, let's take that. Okay. And then, okay, so this actually shouldn't even work. I can see the error right here, but okay. That's fine. Let's go ahead and let's go back in here. I'll paste it here for the moment, so I can take this user, paste it, take rid this, and that, right? So now if I run this, okay, let's just move the second one. The fourth and fifth, both tests got combined. Let's run it and just see what happens.
One of them should fail.
Which one?
The second one, no?
Yeah, because after login, what happens, right? You see? Oh, okay. So the second one also failed because value one did not find it, found epic username and password match. That's one fail. One failed and one passed.
Yep.
Okay. So now I want, other than you, I'm gonna pick somebody here. I want you to explain again why the first one. Let me actually fix this real quick. Okay. I want somebody to explain to me why the first one didn't fail, even though we use invalid username and password, but then and the second one we use the real user information and it failed.
I just missed it. Can you repeat it again?
So why did, like, we just ran the test. Why did the first test didn't fail, but the second one failed?
Because it says invalid user, right? Invalid user and the invalid password.
Okay, but what does that mean?
So it should, whenever you run the test, it's gonna fail, right? Because it's invalid. There's the username and password does not exist.
Right, and then
that one
that means
passed, though.
this message. Yeah, but this one, the line number 26 failed. Sorry, passed. But line number 27 failed, even though these two user information is correct.
Because probably the line number 26 already failed. That's why probably the line number 27 is gonna also fail.
No. This has nothing to do with the lines, right? Because remember, your test is gonna finish and run again for each row. It runs again, right? For each row.
So the reason the first one passed, second one failed, because the first one, the expected result is supposed to give you error message, which actually happened. But the second one, the expected result, because you have the proper valid username and the password, is supposed to go to the home page and not provide an error message. That's why it failed. So
Okay.
in that scenario, what should I do? Because we're not supposed to see any value, because there should be no error message. It's supposed to log us directly to the
Exactly.
homepage.
Yeah. So in that case, because there's gonna be two problems with this thing. These steps needs to be updated because this steps is expecting a error message element on that page, but error message element will never be there. Okay. So you have to make the step more generic and say, I don't care about the element. If there is a text message on the page, then it's good. If that text is not there, then it's not good. Okay, so then all you have to do is update that step. Let me go in there. So locators, you see the locators, we don't want to use the locator. We don't want to use the locator. We just want to say if the page contains that specific message anywhere, then we're good to go. Okay, so the whole page would be the one to use for this use case, for this one in this case. So to make them the both tests pass, you're gonna have to do this, say it like this, or you can also basically put a logic in there. If this locator is not even there, that means you've never seen your test actually, pass. So you can actually say, you can actually have a value here, which is if error equal to, let's say a value, for example, a no error, right? If that is the case, then you just want to make an exception. Other than that, anything else, you would not make that exception, right? You would basically say, do something else. So I'm just modifying these steps so that way it works for everything. Okay, so if this happens, then keep maybe checking. So console.log. Oh, sorry.
I have a question. So for example, the scenario, if no error found, right? I want to validate, the code that's on line number 40. Can I do that? Can I call from here? Like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
What do you mean?
So
say it again.
So for example, if on line number 47, right? If no error found, that means the test is valid, right? Because we are able to successfully logged in. But if I, you know what, I got it.
You can also put an assertion here. You can also say that means you're on the homepage. So you can actually put you can probably add that.
Okay.
So let's see. So I'm gonna go ahead, and now that we made these modifications, it will be compatible in both cases. As you can see, if I put this here, no error. Was it no error? Something like this, right? Okay. So you should not see error, right? Something like that. If there is no error, then it should be good. So now my expectation is that both tests should pass because we have a control flow. We're saying if there is no error message, right? As you can see, both tests pass right now because you chose to skip validation when you are passing a string called no error, because for this user, you're not expecting error. Okay. Now this is kind of sketchy. I wouldn't do it this way. But let's say no error means you're already in the homepage, you can validate something else. But you want to validate something. Otherwise, if you're not validating something, then it will, this one probably gonna become, you know, we have to validate something, right? We're just, either if you're homepage or not, but let's see, what is the name of the website? Source demo. So let's put it this way. Await page. I'm gonna pause it here for a second so I can see what happens. And then I'll validate something, okay? There. So it's better to validate something other than just saying, okay, no, I'll just go ahead and skip this line. But this is one way for you to see how we're able to, oh, look at that. But as you can see, even for a standard user, it failed, right? Because something happened there. No error should see. So somehow it skipped to the, oh, the word no error. Okay, let me see how I spelled it out, right? If it's not proper spelling, then it will not work. Go demo. Go to definitions. No error. Okay. For example, if this has a space, an extra space, then it will also create problem. Okay, so that's fine. Just want to run it one more time. It is kind of strange that the first time it worked and the second time it didn't. As you can see, so I stopped right here. Oh, okay, I see. It didn't log in basically. So what happened is that we were trying to pause it there, so we paused and something happened. So let's go ahead and it basically timed out. 5,000 milliseconds is nothing. So that's one of the reasons why it timed out. So I'm going to remove the timeout. So I'm going to remove the pause actually because that's causing the issue. This pause is causing the issue, okay? But other than that, it's, these things times out very fast. So we need to update the timeout also. Now, so here what I was saying is that you can actually add some sort of validation. If, like let's say you can add something like very similar, instead of error message, you can say await page dot inner text, whatever, and it should be, whatever is the text that you're expecting. So you get the idea here. But again, this is also not a bad way for you to handle something that you expect to be different. You can also put another if and else, right? If let's say you want to validate if it's homepage, you can say else if, right? And you're saying if something else other than, other than if and else, okay, did I say else if correctly? Let me see. JavaScript. Okay, just gotta do a quick reference check. So we got the first one, this, okay. So this is the else. Where's my else if? Yeah, I did it correctly. Okay, fine. Else if is this. Okay, yeah, we forgot that. We forgot a condition, okay? Else if, let's say, error this, let's say, error equal to home page, then you can now validate it here in the home page, right? And you can say, maybe, for now, I'm going to print it out so we can see it. Console.log. And you can say like await page dot current. How do I get the URL? 1 second. Okay, it's called get current URL right there. Okay, so now you can validate if the current URL have anything that will tell you whether you're logged in or not, right? I believe this is the way. And that's it. Current URL, okay, that's fine. Okay, so now you go back to your test and then maybe we'll just create another one. Control C, so at least we will be able to see what we're validating. So remember, we said homepage. So this should actually take us to a different flow instead of the previous flow. If I go back in here, definition. So this is a homepage of a piece, lowercase, so I have to keep that in mind. So let's run it. How many times this is gonna run actually? Can you guys tell me? How many test cases is in here? Just in here.
3.
3. Each time it's just running with a new sets of data. And that is something like data driven. At the same time, this is called parameterization of your test case. Okay, first time, the second time, and the third time. Okay, so one test failed. I just want to see. I think the username is not working, by the way. Okay, so if it's homepage,
Go to their website and take a look at the username is the same one that you entered. But
yeah.
if the username didn't, if the username failed, then you should have 2 scenario failed, not 2 passed.
Remember there is no assertions. That's one of the right. So like for this one, no error. As long as no error, it will skip and go. That's it. It doesn't care. Okay, and that's where that's why this is not failing. We should see 2 failures for sure. Now let me just get a real. I guess let me just go ahead and get the actual working username and password so we can see how it works. The config has that. Okay. Config
The
has the
website is
URL.
saucedemo.com.
That's fine. I'd rather copy it. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Source secret. Okay, so there's so many users. Okay, you know, that's actually a good one too. All of the password is this. Okay. So we're gonna create tests for each one of them. Each one that we see. Okay, so these are the standard user. Okay, so let me just paste them here in the meantime. So the first one is the standard user. And source secret is probably the actual password, I believe. Let me see. Okay. This is your source secret. Source secret. Okay. Secret sauce basically. So this is fine. Okay, so the first one is standard user is fine. The second, the locked out user. Okay, see, now you can actually do a little bit more validation. Performance glitch user, arrow user. Okay. So you can actually do all of the test cases. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 type of test cases in just one. Okay, so I don't have to pretend to create some additional scenarios. So we got invalid. Okay, so standard user, invalid is done. You got the locked user performance. Is we missing visual user. 2 more users are missing, right? That's your visual users, and then we're missing standard users to begin with. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got, okay, sorry, I'm keep messing it up. Okay, so locked user. Okay, we forgot the problem user. So right now you're basically able to automate test cases for every user type, right? So you're just seeing if each user is able to log in, even though they have different situations, right? And then we'll probably update the error messages. The standard is done, locked is done, problem is done, error one is not done. And then visual is done. Okay, good. So we have all these user type right now. And I don't want to skip the things. I'm gonna, for now, I'm gonna put something else other than the condition. So we can see the test failure first, and then we can start to update as we see these. Okay. All right. All right. So now we got all these users. I want to see why even entering a valid username it fails. So let's make an assumption here. We should see all of the test case fail except for one, correct?
Yeah, maybe one or two. Yeah.
No, only one should pass, and everything else should fail. So that's fine. Locked user. So see, it's not able to log in. So this is okay. Let's see. I'm gonna ask something. Jahidul, you go next, right? This is the question for you. You go to work, your test was fine, and now you see a failure like this. What is your next steps to investigate this issue?
Like check the username, like see like what changed, like on the website probably.
So you would manually go and log in to see if the username and password works.
Yeah, like try it. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's a good answer. I mean, that's a really that's an actual answer, because if automation is failing, I'm not gonna go ahead and blindly update my automation. I want to see what happens, so that way, if there is a bug, I'm able to report sooner than later. So now I will come in here. I see that even any of these user trying to log in, they can't. So what we want to do, let's see, this is your secret. Paste it and click on login, and this guy was able to log in. So maybe what is causing this, we need to see. So the standard user. So I'm gonna now, okay, so who can tell me what is my next step? So I came to the website, I logged in as one of the user, and I see that this username and password is not the issue. What is the next steps that I should do?
For that
Guys.
specific username, because there are multiple test cases that's running for the specific user with the standard
Okay, but
user.
this user I ran it.
Yes,
But okay,
yes.
let's do locked out also. But that one,
No.
okay, let's see. I'm gonna isolate that specific test only. Okay, so if I want to run only that test, which has standard user, okay, what I can do, I will comment out everything else, but I cannot comment out the header, okay, because the header is needed. That's how it knows what to grab. Okay, so now my expectation is at this point that it should actually log the customer in, right? That's just my expectation. Okay. Okay, so for some reason there is, the test is failing. Now I have to see why this is failing, where the username and password coming from. So it could be like my issue, right? Username. So this is string 1 is username. String 2 is the password. It's coming, but then let me go into this and see if it's properly done. So the first one is username, second one is the password. So as I can see here, this is fine. Maybe I want to put some sort of like sleep and see actually if it did it or not. Is that, and this is unnecessary. This is not needed. Wait for locator. Actually, this part is unnecessary. Okay, because we're not using it after declaring it. So we don't have to declare if we're not going to use. Locator username this, we are entering this information and password. So it seems correct so far. But what we probably can do is print out the value, you know, maybe that's gonna help. Console.log using username. Okay, so I'm just doing the debugging, and then this is again, this is how you're gonna get to the root of the problem in order to fix your test. So let's go ahead and run it. So this time it's only gonna run 1, and this time it will also print out the username and password somewhere. Let's see if it did. Fill in this. Okay, so it says fill in standard user and password. Okay, so it seems like we have made a mistake in, it didn't grab the actual, okay, it grabbed the standard user, but it didn't grab the password. So the only explanation that I can see is that, look, we are missing this. Okay, so now you and I learned about the significance of this symbols, right? When you're using a table in your scenario outline. Okay. So now if I run it, it should, I'm pretty confident that it'll pass. Let's see. I mean, obviously the test will fail, but it'll be able to log in. That's the whole thing. You see, it logged in. Now it's like, oh, what the hell? I don't know what to do next, right? So this is fine. A standard user was able to log in. Now, if this was a standard user, what should we be expecting? If it's logged in, then I can go and I will log in actually as a standard user myself and see what I am expecting and log in. And if that is the case, then I will say that as long as I see like this option, or maybe sauce lab, SOG lab, whatever the case, if I see this, then my test works, right? Or I can probably see this hamburger menu or the cart, because the cart will not happen unless you're logged in. So I can go in there and I can say something like this, the app logo, Swag Lab, then it should work, right? It actually worked. In addition to that, I can also look for the cart. I can verify the cart, and I can also verify the inventory, right? If the inventory is there, you know, inventory list, then it also worked. Okay, so maybe inventory list is probably the direct, most direct for you to work with. Okay, so this is the inventory list. So if we see the inventory list, it worked. Okay, so let's just make a little bit more complexity to our step that we just wrote. Now, standard user sees that list of inventory, so we have to accommodate that, right? So now I'm gonna go in here. So homepage. So if it's okay, so should the home page, right? For example, if this is the text, then we're gonna say await page dot locator, right? And then I can say, I'm going to put the locator here. I'll move that later. Okay, so inventory and const inventory. So if the inventory is there, then the test pass, right? So expect, you know, like something like this. Let's see. Use, I can say dot is visible with a question mark. If this guy is visible, then my test passed. So inventory is going to be true. If that is the case, I can just copy the whole thing from here and then just replace what I'm expecting. This is for the very first one. So in this case, this is going to be your, oh, we don't have to say return. We don't even need return for this, but okay. So then, if this inventory is true, okay, inventory should give us true. And if that is the case, then we are good to go. Okay, let's see if it's visible.
Shouldn't you put the locator on the top of this, not inside the line?
Is visible is right there. Okay, say it again.
The locator, on line number 52, the dot inventory, shouldn't it be on top on the Cucumber framework, on this framework?
Yep, it is. It is. I did talk about that in the beginning.
Yep, right
I'll
here.
move it right here. So I can go ahead and put it here in inventory. And then all I have to do is do this, paste it here. And that's it. So now I can say inventory, it's right there. So locator dot, where's my inventory? Okay. Right there. Okay. So if this is visible, then pass, I'm good to go. And if it's not, then it will go ahead and say something, right? Or I can change the message here. I can say like, okay, if it's not there, then say something like, was login unsuccessful, for example. Login was unsuccessful, right? So at least we can see the right message. I'll take this string and then go back, right? So now we're making this step actually work with various scenarios, right? This error message. And we have to rename this, that's kind of like not very relevant to. Okay, so let's just run it first to make sure it works. Then we move on to the second scenario, third scenario, fourth, and then fifth. Boom. Okay, the test passed, right? So it actually validated. Where did it pass? 1 second. I thought I saw it passing. Okay, yeah, right here. Okay, so username and password. So the test passed, okay? The second user, when it logs in, what we should be seeing, that's the question, right? So maybe we can validate something else for the second user, right? That's the important thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and log out. And then let's see logged out user. So if logged out user goes and logs in, I'm gonna manually verify what should I see? I should see this epic, your account has been logged out. So I'm gonna go ahead and now copy this and put it in my test. But so far you guys see the benefit of the table, right? And okay, so this is this. Okay, the performance.
There's also, is there any way I can, like, for example, if I have this table in Excel, I can pull that as well?
You can, but you have to implement the step.
Okay.
You have to make sure that it actually reads it from there. Okay, so now who can tell me if my second test will also pass? Okay, this and this. Who can tell me if both tests will pass or one test will fail? Which one is gonna pass, which one is gonna fail? Tell me.
They both should pass.
Anybody disagrees? If you're right, I will.
Also, line number 26
Mhm.
will pass as well.
So I'm gonna enable this also. So who can make a bet right now that all three will pass or at least one will fail? Who wants to agree, disagree in this three tests basically? Anybody disagree or everybody's on the one side?
I think all three will pass.
Okay. Can you explain why?
$29 will pass because it will go to the home page. It's a valid username, password. That's 29 I'm talking about. It will pass. 26, we know it will not log in. It will fail, but the reason the test will pass, you'll spit out the proper error message, as you can see on line number 26. Line number 27 is a locked out user. The moment you enter the username and the password, it will give you the proper error message we just saw a couple seconds ago.
Okay,
So the
let's run it.
expected result should meet the actual result. So that's what I'm saying is it will pass.
Anybody disagree? I mean, you guys cannot be all in the same page, right? Let's see, I'm gonna run it. Okay, so all three pass. I mean, I'm gonna open up the report to give you guys a better view of this. But because I wanted to see if somebody disagrees, honestly, but if you have a doubt and you don't know why this passed or or didn't pass or fail, whatever is the case, you should ask, at least so that way I can explain. I'm not asking because, but anyways, look at this. Look how nice your test looks when it passed or failed, right? So all three was validated with just one test. Let's see what happens the remaining scenarios. We do have other users type that we can validate. So the next one is visual users. I don't know what will happen when you log in as a visual user. So, and then we have a problem users. So let's see, okay, let's do the problem and error users, okay? So if that is the case, I go back to this test and this time I'm gonna enter problem user and I'm gonna use a valid password, which is provided here. I'm gonna click on login and it logged me in. The password you just used was found in our data bridge. Google Password Manager recommends changing your password now, right? Okay. Well, at least it's logged in, right? But we have to do this alert. We have to look for the alert. Okay, so now you will learn how to do the alert, remember? You guys remember? So as long as you see an alert, it should pass your test. All right, but remember, alert is by default dismissed without your knowledge. So we have to handle the alert to make this test pass or fail. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. It's 8:22.
So Cucumber doesn't handle the alert just like automatically how
No,
Playwright does.
remember, Cucumber, the only responsibility of Cucumber is to make your test look nice and pretty. That's it.
Okay.
Everything
But
else is by Playwright. Everything
okay,
else.
so then the Playwright should handle the
Just
alert, right? That's what you said earlier.
exactly.
So we don't have to worry about that.
Playwright will handle, no, but you have to worry
Okay.
because you wanna validate the alert actually showed for the user, not suppress, right? You wanna actually see if so this was the user, right? So let's run it. So let's run first just like this, and and you shouldn't see any alert, right? And then I'm gonna have to now disable everybody else.
I think that's not the case, Jewel. You will see the alert that shows that the password is weak password. Google recommend to use a stronger password. That's a different alert.
Okay, let's see. That's a JavaScript alert, as far as I know. Look, where's the alert? I didn't see no alert, right? So now, if you were to validate the alert, you can do a few things. Because by default, it already handled the alert thing, right? So now I'm gonna go back to my same step, all right? Definition. I'm gonna go in here. And now I'm gonna basically have something else. Like, let's say, okay, well, else if error is equal to alert, right? Okay, password alert, for example, password weak alert, for example. If that is the case, then what we are validating? Then we can say, look for an alert, right? I mean, don't suppress it, look for it. So I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna just type alert, which is a dialog, see? So you have to first make sure that you're listening for the alert, and then you want to go ahead and click that will make the alert happen, right? So, and then you can go ahead and click OK, right? So we'll print out the alert message in the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to copy this code just to have it as a template. I'm going to go in here and so this, and one thing keep in mind is that this code actually is responsible for listening for the alert. Okay, so we have to place this code before even click on login, right? And it happens in the new page, so it's not gonna be, let's see, you can register, how to register, okay. Okay, so we have to move this code somewhere else to make that happen. We have to do it here, if that is the, so we don't want to suppress no, you know, alerts. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove this guy, boom. So now it will print out the message if the alert shows up. I'm just gonna run it to make sure we have the alert before we create the assertion. Okay, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Okay, so I had to make the adjustment to this. Okay, so let's see. Okay, alert on new page. Alert on new page.
Even when I enter
URL navigation.
even whenever I enter the manually, alert sometimes shows up, sometimes it doesn't. So
Okay, so that is one issue. That is like that is not our issue, right? That is the application issue. So
that's, yeah, I'm not sure if it's Google or application, one of the issues. It doesn't show up all the time. So I don't think alert is a good validation.
Example.
Yeah, validation.
Okay, so
we can use
yeah, so this actually in real life, if there is a problem with weak password, they wouldn't actually do it like this way, you know. They will probably lock them out, honestly. So I'm gonna remove this, as you know, I'm never gonna see this issue in the real case scenario. But to handle this, it may require for me to spend another 20 minutes. So I don't want to do that. We want to continue on Let me go back to the test. And this is where we entered the information. For definition. Okay. I want to remove the check, which is right here for the alert, and then we're good to go. Okay, let's go into the other one. Maybe visual user could be the next one, maybe. Let's see what the visual users does, because I don't know what that will do. And then we can go from there. Log out. Okay, well, visual users doesn't really have anything for us to. It's going to be the same, right? Going to homepage.
Yeah, the
Nothing
only thing I'm
crazy.
seeing different is the exact same thing except the first picture. It's a picture of a dog instead of backpack.
Okay, so we can validate the image, right? So we can say, if you go into this, but then again, this is not a good validation because this image can change at will, right? It's a product. The product rotate.
Yep.
And we'll never see the same product. Okay, so that's fine. So even this one, visual user should be like, should see homepage. So if I move this here, then we should be good to go. And I'll remove this one for the day. And let me just go ahead and undo my changes. In this case, all of them will work. I will remove the glitch and performance user. But if we work hard enough and maybe spend another 10 minutes, we should be able to get all of these validation working, but I don't want to spend too much time on this because the whole objective of this is that we're learning how to use scenario outline to write the, as many test cases as possible using the same exact amount of code, right? So now, if you notice that if there is a difference in message, we have to go and update our code to accommodate that kind of change. Let me just run this to make sure everything works. Okay, so all of them passed, okay? So today will be the last class for the cucumber, which I don't want to come back to. But at the same time, there's demand for cucumber, there is demand for selenium, and there's demand for playwright. So I would encourage you to not take these, I would encourage you to continue to learn as much as possible, at least be able to move around, have enough knowledge on the cucumber, not forget it. But Playwright is going to be your bread and butter, right? Playwright is going to be your automation tool that you know. And now if you know Playwright, then you can say, I know Selenium because they're similar. If you know Playwright, then you can also say, I know Cypress. If you know Playwright, you can also say, I know how Puppeteer works. By the way, Puppeteer and Playwright are same. Then you have WebDriver IO, and then you have few other automation tools that are out there that you would be able to automate with. As long as you have the fundamentals and basic understanding of automation, you should be able to automate using any tool. And all you need is a good documentation like this one to tell you exactly how to get started, how you'd be able to interact with elements in the page. Anytime you're automating, all we're doing is basically mimicking users or mimicking actual users of the application. So if users want to come in here and select a product, we would do that with automation. Any questions for scenario outline? That was the last one. I think scenario outline. And there's another one is background. Let me just give you guys an example of background, then we can actually finish the entire cucumber thing. So the background is right here. So what the background does is basically run once for all of the scenario. So background, whatever steps you're going to put in here, it'll run once before every single scenario. So what step here that is super common among all of them? what is the one step? I can see I'm
Login,
on the login, right? So I can go ahead
login
and
page.
copy this. Yeah, I can copy this and I can paste it in here. So now I don't need to put it in here. I don't need to put in here also. And that's it. I made my scenario more simplified. So you can, background is just going to be like that, where background you cannot modify, right? It will do what it's made for, which is run before any test. Okay, so it's like before test, with the way that we did. So if I run it now, my expectation is none of these tests will fail. They should actually work just like the way it was before. There's no difference. Okay, all 4 tests pass. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the report so we can see how it looks like.
Can you, before you log off, can you show how to add the end functionality?
What is it?
The end functionality.
Oh, the end. Okay, yeah, I'll show you. Sometimes the keywords are also, works well depending on what kind of ID you're using. So, okay, let's see. As you can see, we got the 1, 2, 3, 4 tests passing, and this is how your test case looks like. None of you guys asked me a question when I showed you how you can run using tag. So in Cucumber, one of the biggest advantage, or at least if you want to say highly desired feature functionality, is that you are able to run tests as long as you give it a nice tag name. Okay, so I can say here Joel, for example, and it will run. I can say here, anybody's name, for example, right? And now all I have to do is take the tag name, and if I want to run only this one, I can go ahead and say right here, I can go ahead and update the tag name. So now it should run that specific test, and you can have as many tags as possible for all of your test cases. So why that is important? Okay, once it's finished, I'll show you. Why that is important is because maybe, so let's say this is all the tests you have. Suppose these are like 2000 test cases you have, right? So now not all the test case will be regression, right? Some of the test case is going to be regression, some of the test case is not going to be regression. Okay, you guys remember what regression is? And then maybe some of the test case that belongs to regression will be also smoke. Okay, smoke test. And maybe some of the tests will not be part of that. It's specific feature. Maybe some of the tests will be, right? By themselves, right? And then you'll see some of the tests will be only, for example, regression, right? So depending on how you're grouping your tests, you can group it however you want. Okay, there is no restriction. So that's one of the reason also Cucumber is pretty, famous for, because you can tag your test just like this and do it work. If I tag one, if I actually tag it here on the top of the feature, and I can say all tests, for example, it will run all of the tests belongs to this feature. It doesn't care about these tags anymore. It will run everything. Now, if I have, let's say, 20,000 feature files, and each feature file I go in there and I tag them regression, and out of 20,000, I have 1,000 test case marked as regression, then it will run 1,000 test case. Same thing, smoke test. If I have 50 test cases that will be marked as smoke, then it will run, those 50. Now, it is not necessary that smoke and regression, they will not have similar test cases. Sometimes the same test case will be for smoke and the regression because of the significance of that specific test case. Okay, that's that. Any questions on the tags? So we learned the background, we learned the tags, we learned how to create scenario outline. I think that's pretty much very close to completion. Now, remember how we did before and after? We can also do it in Cucumber, before and after hooks. So if you go into your hooks, right here, you can see you have before all, after all, all of these. That basically each scenario. So if you say before and after, it will run before and after scenario. If you say before all, it will run once before scenario. and only once after the scenario. So that is, I would say, in a very much in 2 days, I think 2 classes that we did in Cucumber. I don't want to waste too much time on it because I can actually spend the next 2 months in Cucumber if I need to. But I don't want to spend too much time on it. Just get the idea, know what it is, and invest more time, do a lot of practice, and you'll get more depth knowledge in Cucumber. But once you start using and start working on a project that uses Cucumber, you'll get much more, idea about it. The next class, I think we're gonna go back to Playwright and Page Object, the one that you pushed, or the one that everybody is pushing to prior. And we're gonna go a little bit more deeper into writing few test cases, but I want to also start marketing some of you guys that are ready. I want to also basically start looking to see if we get opportunities, why not, right? If we basically find interviews, then we should probably start. Now, don't panic and say, oh no, I'm not ready and this and that, because the chances of you getting an interview right away is narrow. Market is dry. So I would say, start with your resume, start feeling comfortable. Like first get the resume, make sure that you have everything that we learned. Second, you start pushing your resume to many job sites, apply for jobs, and see, how it feels, see basically what it looks like and how you're able to manage and calls and being able to do interviews. And then, you'll basically learn continuously until you get your first job. It takes about 2 to 3 months. Sometimes people get faster because they just, they're just doing something right. Maybe they're applying like aggressively, but sometimes it takes 6 months also. So depending on who you are, things will be fast or slow. But if you get an interview, you definitely have to call me and let me know. If you get anything at all, I have to prep you. I have to make sure that you're ready. I will not try to embarrass you in front of anybody. That means if I feel that you're not ready and you shivering and there is nothing I can do, then we're going to take a pause. We're going to go back to the drawing board and then we'll basically restart. But most likely you'll be fine. I'll give you as much prep as needed, so that way we can ace the interview. Just keep in mind, right, one thing, because some people probably think like everybody's an expert. Oh, people that actually worked and they're gonna be talking like, let's say someone like me, or maybe someone like who actually have this much experience, and it's not the case. Okay. Even somebody with real 5 years or 6 years, 7 years of experience, they're not able to talk like me, or maybe, somebody who is able to do like ace interviews. One of the reason why like I am good at interviews because I just took way too many interviews in my life, right? So that's why I would recommend taking as many as interview and fail as many as possible if you need to, and you'll be fine. Okay. And if you fail an interview, it doesn't mean you went to a blacklist or something and this company will never call you again. That's not the case, because you're always doing interview with third party first. So if you actually mess up the third party interview or maybe the very first call, you're already out of the equation. So you'll have a chance again whenever they have hiring. So you're not really just lowering your chance of with thousands of companies out there. Also, there is no such thing as blacklist. Okay, so there is the HR list, which is if you got a job and you did something crazy, and they want to make sure that they don't hire you again by accident, then they will put it into the HR, list, basically, to say, okay, we're never gonna basically consider this person to get hired. So just keep that in mind. Who feels, just by, right now, who feels they are willing to start going out there for jobs? Right now, I think like, I don't know, some of you guys already, I mean, most of you guys are like out there, like Lahul, you're out there already. We took some interviews. Hassan is actually waiting for an offer. We did the final interview, and it went very well for Hassan. And he's not here because he's actually overseas currently. But he, when he comes back, he'll probably be working somewhere because he took the interview and left. And let's see. So the only person here I can see like Farah, Evelina, and Marjana. I don't know if you are Marjana. Sorry, if you worked or if this is gonna be your first time going out there. Sorry, say it again.
It's going to be my first time.
Okay. Yeah, so it's gonna be like I said, you just gotta, don't have too many, thoughts, just dive right in, because initially everybody makes mistakes and that's fine. But like I said, I will, as long as you let me know, hey, I have an interview tomorrow, I will try to make sure that you don't have to be embarrassed, in an interview. So just gonna have to coordinate with me. You can send me your regular resume. I think, okay, Lahul, you have your resume. Kalina, you have yours, but I would say update it based on this stuff. And Cora, you have a resume, you can update it. Evelina, you have a resume also, you can update it. And Anatomy has a resume also. So the only person missing a resume is you. So just send it to me, send me a regular resume, I'll update it with this information, and then we will start applying slowly. Okay, so if you're not out there, then you're not gonna feel what you need to learn. Because sometime when you're out there, people are asking for specific technology, you'll have to spend time to learn those before the interview. With that said, guys, I will see you on the next one. Try to, my homework, I would say, like, I'm not gonna check this one, but try to, so this was the last Cucumber thing. So I would say try to get your knowledge more solid in Cucumber. The next one, we're gonna go back to Playwright and just spend more time with Playwright features, and then maybe 1 or 2 more classes, and then I'm gonna basically say we're done with this session, especially with the automation side. And like I said, we're already talking about going out there and looking for opportunities, and we should be fine just like this, honestly. But obviously, we're not gonna be 100% ever. Just keep in mind, we're never gonna be 100%. With 50% of learning, if you had, we're gonna be fine. Alrighty, I will see you guys on the next one.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.